Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Welcome, everyone. My guest this week is Evan Rabin. Welcome, Evan.
Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. So Evan and I were connected through Joe Rojas, and Joe is the guy that's going to be on my podcast upcoming, probably in the next several weeks. And Joe and I met through virtual 5 o'clock. And I know you and Joe are connected. We talked about this when I was on your podcast. You and Joe are connected through a mastermind that he's part of, right? Or you guys are both part of?
Yes. Well, he runs it, Thriver 360, a great mastermind group. We meet every week, and it's all about accountability and building relationships. So I'm actually, very grateful to be part of that every week.
Nice. You are lucky. I didn't really even know what masterminds were until I was talking to actually my publisher about it. Well, I knew what they were in the last couple of years, but it wasn't until a lot later in my career that I knew what they were. And I didn't realize how profoundly impactful they can be. And I wish I would have known about them sooner and been a part of them sooner, because they really can help a lot in a lot of different ways. So you're lucky. Okay, so I only know a little bit about you, Evan. I know that you are, you have a website called Premier Chess, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a community, right? Like, so you're a master. So tell everyone what you do and how you came about this chess. I don't know if you have this is your whole thing, or if you do something else in between for work too. So I want to tell everyone what you do and how you came to be an expert in chess and how this is part of your life now.
Sounds great. So I am. Thank you again for having me. I am a national chess master and owner of Premier Chess. We currently run programs in 80 plus schools all around the country. We do a lot of corporate classes. We're currently at Google and Citigroup, a bunch of other major corporations as well. We have 48 instructors on our team. So we're always, keeping very busy, definitely more than a full-time job. And whether it's, a preschool student or high school student or an attorney at, let's say, Kramer Levin, where we do classes at, we always love to build, relationships. And we like to teach business and life values through the game.
I love that. So it's the premise that you are teaching kids that never played chess how to play, and then incorporating all these other lessons, or they already know how to play and then you guys are coming in and just kind of magnifying what they do?
Well, for one, it's, as I said, not just kids. We work with a bunch of major institutions. Again, like Google, but whether it's a kid or an adult, we're teaching chess lessons. But through that, we're teaching things about thought process, confidence building, intuition, and a whole lot more.
I love that. It's so cool. Like to think of a game, a sport, in the way of using all those other skills that I talk about on my podcast all the time, the intuition and life lessons, and applying it to everything else you're doing. So kudos to you for doing this and taking something that you love and you're good at and figuring out a way to make the world a better place with all of those, with your business and everything you're doing in schools and for companies. So kudos to you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. So what do you think? So now that you're running this, I don't know how old all of this is, how long you've been doing it. What did you do? Did you go to school what did you do to study? What did you study earlier in your life? And what did you think you were going to be doing? Is this what you thought you were going to be doing? Did you plan to do all this?
Yeah, so I went to Brandeis. I graduated in 2012 with a degree in business and international studies. I did often have a potential idea that, one day, I might end up, playing chess as something that was, serious. Chess has always most certainly helped our, my ability to do, everything that we actually, do. I've talked about it in many different interviews that I've had over the years. But at the same time, no, it was definitely not something that I thought, would be, my full-time business. I do have many other, friends who, run chess companies, and, in the back of my mind, it was something that I would consider. But definitely not, it was not my intent at first.
How did you figure out that you wanted to do this? And along the way, with the other work you were doing or building this, how did you continue to stay peaceful and happy and content and still persistent into getting all of this off the ground along the way?
Right. So, yeah, I would say, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, things do happen a little bit by accident, I would say. And I, at the time, was actually with my own other business on the Pillar Sales, where we were representing a bunch of different startups, like On the Spot Photo Magnets, which does professional photography and instant photo magnets. They were, one of our bigger clients. And well, it was, working, but at the same time, not as well as I would have hoped. And I was actually teaching chess on the side. And before that, actually, I was working at Oracle for 3 years and Rapid7 for 1 year, doing enterprise sales. So sort of my natural tendency actually was to go back and do sales. So I did start applying actually to different, to different sales jobs, but ultimately just basically decided that, it wasn't for me. I wanted to kind of sell my passion. And in July of 2017, I basically just said, I'll sell chess for 2 months and see what happens. And I was in 14 schools. And I had 10 instructors working with us. And we just kind of kept moving on forward, basically.
I love that. I love that you were just like, all right, I'm just going to try this. I'll see what happens. And you never know what's going to happen until you try. I think that's also admirable, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to plan it and I'm going to do this and I'm going to think about it and I'm going to draw everything out and I'm going to wait and I'm going to all of that. And that takes sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. And then sometimes it's like they go to do it and it didn't work for whatever reason. They had to make some adjustments, right? But just to say, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. That's usually when the momentum starts flowing, and then you get other ideas and maybe you do have to make some tweaks, but it's still something that's out there in the world and living, and you can see the impact it's having right away. And you can also see what is and isn't working, but it doesn't really matter, because at least you're starting it. You're doing something. You started and said, I'll see what happens, and take it from there. And I think usually you're rewarded. A lot of people I talk to on my podcast, you end up being rewarded for that effort. Even if it doesn't work out exactly like you're supposed to, you took a step, you took action. And like you said, you were in 14 schools pretty quickly. That's not an accident, because
and I think things are definitely meant to be. I actually recorded a podcast episode 2 days ago with Grandmaster Ron Henley, who is a great player. He was actually one of former world champion Anatoly Karpov's trainers. And I actually asked him, like, how do you, get connected with Karpov? It's such obviously a very prestigious position that he was in. And he actually said he was playing a tournament. He didn't particularly do that well in the tournament and was, basically, out of contention. And actually every round they have people who, basically play the moves on a demo board. And it's usually, volunteers who are not particularly great chess players, but this was an exception where he's a grandmaster doing it, and he was doing it for Karpov's game. And just afterwards, he decided to actually ask him, "Hey, I know you have this big match coming up in a few months in Seattle. Do you want an American grandmaster as a second?" And he actually said, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go." So, and then since then they've had a relationship. So a lot of it is just moving forward, having a little bit of chutzpah and confidence, and yeah, I mean, anything could really happen.
Yeah, I love that. What would you tell along that same line? What would you tell kids that are either graduating from high school or college and trying to figure out what they want to do and where they want to be working and how they want to share their gifts with the world? What would you say to those kids and adults that are trying to use their strengths?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing to me is just being able to not have limitations. A lot of us think that yeah, we typically are limited because I'm maybe not the I'm not the most sufficient person around. I don't have a lot of resources, but the truth is that you really just want to totally just have confidence and keep going. I remember in the beginning of when I was at Oracle, I had a little bit of a struggle actually when it came to dealing with big CIOs or directors of IT at major corporations, where I decided that we would just I was a couple 1 or 2 years at a Brandeis, yet I'm dealing with CIOs who are experienced for 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really value my time as much as theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But then I actually decided that actually my time was just as valuable as theirs, right? So you don't want, like, obviously too much of an ego or anything like that, but at the same time, right, you need to think that you're just pretty much as important as anyone else, because you never know where you're going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's a good point that said you were nervous. You're only a couple years out of school when you were talking to these senior executives, and but anyone, even at my age, and I'm well into my career. I'm still, people just get intimidated by those titles and being in the room. But I think it's a great lesson for younger people to say, you said, without an ego, your time is just as valuable as the leader's time that you're talking to. And any really great leader will make you feel that way. Everyone's time's valuable. And obviously they have more wisdom and more experience. It doesn't mean that what you have to say isn't important. So the confidence is really big. I love that advice. Is there anything you wish, Evan, that you'd learned earlier in your life or career or along your education path? Is that one of the things, probably one of the things we were just talking about? Your time's valuable.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely extremely important, right? Just the ability to, again, think confidently, and think about the next step. But I would say that the other real thing is it's just having the ability to sort of constantly move forward, and not actually worry about everything being perfect, and having exactly, the right plan all the time.
I love that. It's great advice. And I think a lot of times people are taught early in their life that everything has to be perfect in a little package before it goes off into people. I'm not saying it's not important to have, like no spelling errors and grammatical things and stuff when you're writing a letter to a CEO or obviously someone influential that you're trying to gain respect from. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you said, moving forward, no matter what, do something. It doesn't need to be perfect, and you don't have to have exactly everything right. in order to take the next step. And if you wait till you have everything right, chances are you're probably never going to take the step. And then you're not going to have what you want out in the world. So don't let that stop you. That's great advice. What do you think the greatest gift that you bring every day to the world is? Like, I know some people love this question. Some people say, well, like it's almost a little comes from your ego, like what you think is great about yourself. But I'm all about bragging about what you think is great about yourself, because I think it helps the world see you for your gifts. So what's the greatest gift you think you bring every day to either the people that you work with or your family or whoever it is?
Right. Yeah. So for me, it's, I think, fairly simple, actually, and that's just spreading the love for chess. Yeah, I've actually taught on and off since I was 12. I became master when I was 20. And basically, yeah, I mean, I love actually working with our team, to teach, thousands of individuals and groups of, all ages and skill levels, business and life values through the game. So for us, it's just continuing to, build on that, touching as many people as we can, and just continuing to move forward, and be of value in any way we can.
I love that, because your love of chess is what people can sense and what makes people want to probably work with you and teach other kids and corporations about the game. But if you didn't have that passion and you didn't have that drive underneath what you're talking about every single day, it wouldn't be as successful as it is, because people would feel that it wasn't sincere or it wasn't really what you love talking about. I think so. For anyone listening out there, it's like your passion can't be faked. And when it's something that you take every day and you truly, it's sincere, people feel that, and it can only lead to success, even if that doesn't lead to the exact success you thought it was going to be. It's going to bring you there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Evan. Thank you for your time today. So if people want to learn more about the work you do for corporations, or even in schools, a lot of people that listen to my podcast are parents, and they want to get more involved with chess at their schools. How do they do that with you or your company?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. So we do actually work again in a variety of capacities. We teach actually students, literally ages 3 to 100 plus. We've actually partnered with a whole variety of schools, a whole variety of companies, and of course, individuals and public group classes. If you are a business, typically with 50 plus employees that, will invest in corporate classes, or related to a school, or just an individual looking to learn, would definitely love for you to get a hold of us. Of course, you can check out our website, premierchess.com, or you can email evan@premierchess.com, and we would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Evan. I really appreciate it. It's a very interesting thing you're doing. And I just always admire people that are doing what they can for the world in the way that serves the world the best, which is bringing your gifts, and you're doing exactly that. So kudos to you, and keep doing the work you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Right. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thanks, Evan. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you loved this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.